The air was thick with the scent of freshly cut lilacs and the low, contented hum of a perfectly quiet Saturday morning when the screaming started, shattering the suburban peace like cheap glass. "What on earth do you think you're doing, you menace? This dog is clearly malnourished and unattended." I spun around, my coffee cup nearly slipping from my hand, only to see Brenda, a notorious neighborhood Karen known for weaponizing homeowners association rules, yanking Scout's leash, the poor golden retriever mix looking utterly bewildered by the sudden hostility and rough treatment. Before I could even form a proper sentence, a question, an apology, a defense, anything, she had completely unclipped his harness from my grip, declaring with chilling certainty, "I'm seizing this animal for neglect, and you can expect a call from Animal Services. Maybe learn how to control your beasts next time, honey." And then, in a terrifying flash of entitlement and adrenaline, she hauled my 75-pound boy into the back of her pristine white SUV and slammed the door shut, locking me out as I scrambled to grab the handle, my heart hammering against my ribs like a frantic drum solo. Did that just actually happen? I couldn't believe it. Not in our sleepy, cul-de-sac heaven where the biggest drama was usually who parked too close to the mailbox, but as I stood there, dumbfounded, watching the taillights of her Cadillac Escalade disappear around the bend, the disbelief turned into a cold, paralyzing panic, making me hyperventilate until the faint, metallic scent of my spilled coffee was the only thing grounding me in reality. That awful, sinking feeling of helplessness was overwhelming, a physical weight pressing down on my chest, and I let out a ragged, uncontrolled sob, my breath catching in the hot, stagnant summer air. How could someone be so brazen? I thought, scrubbing at the tears blurring my vision. That's when the second, far worse part of the encounter hit me with the force of a wrecking ball. As she was shoving Scout into her vehicle, I had managed to wedge myself between the car door and her body, pleading with her. "He's microchipped, he's mine. Please just give me my dog back." But Brenda, Karen, whatever, had just sneered and raised her foot, connecting a hard, agonizing kick right to my shin, a purely malicious, unnecessary act that left a burning welt and sent a surge of hot, righteous fury coursing through my veins, washing away the panic. "Oh, you did not just kick me, Brenda. This isn't over." That was the exact moment the tide began to turn, because in that same instant, a crucial, life-saving detail registered in my shock-addled brain. The reason she hadn't managed to completely unclip Scout's custom-fitted, ballistic nylon collar was that I'd invested in a new GPS tracking tag, a tiny, military-grade device I'd secured to the D-ring only last week. Right beneath his ID tag, thank God. Snatching up my phone, my fingers trembled as I navigated to the app, the screen illuminating with a small, triumphant blue, blinking rapidly a few blocks away, and suddenly, the suffocating helplessness was replaced by a sharp, focused determination. A hunter's resolve. "Let's go, you entitled thief." It was then I remembered the second ace up my sleeve. The new clip-on Bodycam I'd started wearing on my walks, a tiny gadget originally intended to capture cute Scout moments but which I'd started using after a previous, less aggressive incident with the same woman involving a sidewalk flowerbed and a threat to call the police over visual pollution. I quickly checked the device, seeing the small green light still pulsing, confirming every single second of that vile exchange, including the kick was now on digital record, complete and undeniable evidence. I immediately called 911, my voice now steady and low, providing the operator with the current, live location data from the GPS tracker, Brenda's full name and address, and the registration details of the white Escalade, articulating every fact, with the cold, hard precision of someone who was finished being polite. The dispatcher, clearly stunned by the detailed information, especially the live tracking, told me to stay put and that they were sending a patrol unit to intercept. But I couldn't just stand there. Could I? Are you kidding me? Waiting? No way. I called my neighbor, Mark, whose house backed up to Brenda's property and who was, thankfully, a retired police officer. Within 5 minutes, Mark was pulling up in his pickup, nodding gravely as I quickly explained the situation. The bodycam footage already being uploaded to a cloud server just in case, and with the GPS showing Brenda's car now stationary at her address, We sped toward her house, the anticipation tightening my muscles, turning my dread into a coil of anxious energy. When we arrived, 2 patrol cars were already parked haphazardly in front of the pristine Escalade, the blue and red lights painting the manicured lawn in an urgent, chaotic pattern, and there was Brenda, standing on her porch, still holding Scout's leash, arguing. Of course she was arguing, with the 2 officers, trying to explain that she was merely performing a rescue intervention, and that I was the aggressor, a blatant, horrifying lie. There she is. That's the woman. Officer. She assaulted me and stole my property. I have it all. The GPS location data and the complete video footage. I yelled, running up to the scene, Mark supporting me silently but fiercely behind me. Brenda's face, previously a mask of smug entitlement, crumpled when she saw me, her eyes darting from my face to the tiny, blinking device clipped to my shirt. She tried to deny everything, launching into a furious, high-pitched monologue about my lack of a 6-foot leash and the general unruliness of my dog. But one of the officers held up a hand. Ma'am, we have visual confirmation of the dog, and we are tracking her location through a device attached to the dog's collar, which places her here immediately after the owner reported the theft. And more importantly, he paused, his gaze hardening as he looked directly at Brenda. The owner states you physically assaulted her. Is that correct? Brenda, cornered, just stammered, I was defending myself. That's when the other officer, after reviewing the secure link I had sent them, stepped forward, holding up his phone to show his partner a quick clip. The footage, Mrs. Harrington, clearly shows you kicking Ms. Clark after you had secured the animal in your vehicle. That's assault and battery, ma'am, and theft. The dog is going back to his owner, and you are under arrest. The utter, satisfying shock on her face was priceless, a masterpiece of sudden realization and utter defeat, all her phony composure dissolving into pure, sputtering fury as the officer cuffed her, the metallic clink of the handcuffs ringing out like a final, triumphant chord. Scout, sensing the relief and justice in the air, bounded into my arms the moment the officer unclipped his leash, burying his wet nose into my neck, his excited whimpers a soothing sound after the violent trauma, and as I hugged him, feeling his warmth and the steady thump of his heart, I looked back at Brenda, now being led away in handcuffs, still shouting about calling her lawyer and demanding to speak to the chief of police. But her words were meaningless, dissolving into the warm afternoon air, a pathetic, impotent echo of her former authority. Justice wasn't just served. It was captured, recorded, and delivered with the undeniable precision of technology and truth. What a day, huh? Never underestimate the power of documentation, a good GPS tracker, and the fierce, unyielding love for your dog. Because sometimes, the most silent witnesses are the ones who speak the loudest, ensuring that even the loudest, most entitled voices are finally irrevocably silenced, proving that the universe truly does have a mechanism for professional Karens.